Hey y'all, welcome back to my kitchen. Let's do a love it or hate it video today. And we're going to make sauerkraut. We're only going to use 2 ingredients and we're going to make refrigerator sauerkraut. So we're just going to do it in a jar. So we're not doing the whole canning process and all that. So we're going to start out with, I have a small head of cabbage. So I'm going to take off the outer leaves and hang on to those for now. And again, this is a small head because I'm just making a little bit. This probably is not even going to fill up that jar. But whenever you're using your sauerkraut for, your cabbage for sauerkraut, it's important that you use organic. And when I bought this, there wasn't a lot of choice on size. I would have probably actually gotten a little bit bigger one, but this is what we got. So we're going to start out by cutting the core off the sauerkraut, off the cabbage. We're not quite at the sauerkraut yet. And we're going to cut it in two just to make it more easier to cut. And we're going to just shred it. I'm going to use this. You can use a mandolin. You can even use a knife. But you want to kind of make it fine. So you're just going to shred it. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I haven't used that in a while. So let me try something else here. That's just not getting it. Okay, yeah, it's working. I just wasn't doing it right. So you just shred your cabbage. And if you have pieces like this, that's okay. But see how fine that is? And we're going to shred the whole head. Okay, we got our cabbage all shredded up. And now we're going to add salt. And I'm going to use sea salt. You can use sea salt. You can use kosher salt. Just don't use a salt with additives like iodine or whatever. And don't use canning salt. Just use sea salt or kosher. Either one of those will be fine. And we're going to use a tablespoon for this. Actually, a scant tablespoon. We're just going to sprinkle it all over. Now, that's all that's in this bowl is cabbage. Keep in mind, this is not pickling. This is fermenting. And I know so many people say they don't like coleslaw. They don't like, they just don't. But coleslaw is so good for you. It's so gut healthy. It's so, fermented foods are so good for your health. Okay, so what I'm doing now is just mixing the salt with the sauerkraut. And the salt is going to start drawing water. You can already see it's getting wet. And you kind of just massage it in. You can just let it set, but I like to just massage the salt into the cabbage. I did pull out a smaller jar. This is going to shrink down a lot, so it's not going to fill that big jar. Personal preference on jars. I save jars all the time. I save all kinds of jars, but personal preference on jars. I like a wide mouth jar when I'm doing fermenting because you can get your hand down in there to pack your food. And I like a plastic lid rather than a metal lid just because of the acid. And again, that's just absolutely personal preference. So see how that's getting wet? You can totally customize this. You can add caraway seeds. I've even added cabbage. I used to make I can't talk. I've even added shredded carrots. We used to make sauerkraut in large quantities. And my friend Frida can tell you some stories about sauerkraut. We had some jars blow up before. It's crazy. So that's, yeah, sauerkraut can be a challenge. My grandmother used to make sauerkraut in a big crock, and I actually still have the crock. I love it. But it was a 5-gallon crock, and at the end, when her cabbage would come in, she would make sauerkraut in her crock, and it would take her all day to shred the cabbage up, and she would put it in there and put her salt in and weigh it down, and it was a process. So we're not doing that. We're just doing a jar. So we're going to let this set for a few minutes and let some of the water pull out of it, and we'll come back and take a look at it. Okay, see how much our cabbage has reduced down? And I've been massaging it and just letting it set. And remember, all we have in here is cabbage and salt. And the liquid is already, see that? See how the liquid's dripping out? Can you see that? So that's going to be, I'm gonna bring you up just a little bit so you can see the liquid dripping out. So now we're going to start packing it into our jar. And I'm really torn about which size jar to use. I think I'm going to go with the small one. And we're just going to start packing it in there. Now, there are so many things that you can get as far as making sauerkraut. There's all kinds of special lids. There's this and that. And that's all fine. If you decide that you're really into it and you want to do all that, that's great. But you don't have to. You can be very basic here and do it like this until you see what's going on. Till you see how much you're going to like it. And just keep it as simple as you can. So you really have no money in this, just a head of cabbage, unless you're lucky enough to grow your own. And some salt. And again, this is a recycled jar. Actually, no, it's not. I think I got it at the dollar store. But it was very little. Yeah, that's just perfect. We're going to start mashing it down. And the liquid's going to start coming up to cover the cabbage. You can already see it starting to come up. So we're going to let that hang out for a minute and come back and mash it down again and let it create some of its own juice. Okay, I hope you can see. If you can see the liquid coming up through here, and when it's up onto the top, we're going to take one of our leaves that we saved, because this needs to stay under the liquid. And we're going to cut out that hard rib and just tuck it down in there to keep it, to keep the cabbage under the liquid. So we're just going to tuck it down in like that. Okay, and it's very important that it stays under the liquid because that's what makes it ferment. Okay, and then we're going to put a lid on it. Now, this is not the end of this video. And I thought maybe Can you see the liquid? You're going to start seeing bubbles come up and all kinds of interesting things going in there in the next few days. I thought really about making this video over several days and showing it to you all at once. But then I thought, well, I'll make this part and get it started just in case there are people that might want to follow along, because you don't have to have a lot of equipment. You don't have to do a lot of stuff to get ready to do it. So if somebody wanted to get started on their making their sauerkraut, they could just follow along, and I'll show you more. I'll do some short videos as we go along over the next week or so. So what we're going to do now is put our cabbage, our sauerkraut in the making, in a cool place out of the sun, and we're going to check it at least once a day. Now, one thing that's very important, at least once a day, walk by and take the lid up and just let the gas come out, because it's going to create some gas. So just let that out, and after about 3 days, you can start tasting your sauerkraut, and it'll be turning into sauerkraut by then. As it ferments, it's going to become more sour. As that happens, you'll be able to tell the difference. When it gets to the point that you like, then you can just put it in the refrigerator, and that will stop the fermenting process. But at this point, it's just cabbage, and we got our liquid in there, and we're going to get it started. So I hope you follow along. Even if you don't like sauerkraut, give it a try. It's so good for you. It's the probiotic thing. After you have made it a time or two, again, start adding stuff if you'd like. I've added caraway seeds. I added some carrots. My favorite is peppers, like little hot peppers chopped up a little bit in there. You can put as many as you want or as little as you want, but that's really good. You can use this on Reubens. You can use it with cabbage, and sauerkraut and sausage. There's so many things, or you can just eat it out of the jar. If you're eating it, every time you go into the jar, though, use a clean utensil. Don't put a used utensil back in there. It could mess up the bacteria. So there we have it, the beginnings of sauerkraut. And I hope you stuck with me through this. Please subscribe, like, share, and we'll be back in a few days with more sauerkraut process. See you then. Happy cooking. Bye-bye.